Welcome back to Yanks Abroad. We have another great episode. The Man United-Liverpool match ended just 10 minutes ago. We're going to talk all things from that. We're going to talk the Champions League draw, and we are going to give an Americans Abroad update as the roster just came out earlier last week. Start with United-Liverpool. Hot topic.
Give Ten Hag whatever he wants. Manchester United are back. They are back. United should sign Anthony to a 10-year deal. They should keep Ten Hag for another 10 years. Biggest win of the last decade for them. Massive match for Manchester United.
It was, funny enough, it was an awful performance from them throughout 90 minutes, as we've become extremely accustomed to with United. But I want to give them credit first, because me personally on my TikTok and us collectively on here never give them credit. So I'm going to give them credit. They showed up in extra time, and we were talking about it as it happened, that, like, should we go to golden goal? Should we skip extra time and go straight to pens because nothing has been happening? But they came out and they played extremely well, responded to the deflected goal, and did extremely well. But so there's their flowers. But I thought it was a really help me with that word? Uncharacteristic display from Liverpool. They, when you go up 2-1, the amount of chances they had.
They could have put the game away 5-6 times.
A Klopp team puts that away, and even if you don't put that match away, the way that they crumbled multiple times,
crazy.
You will I don't feel like I've seen that at all. If it's very few and far between with him. So I thought that was Man United deserves credit for putting pressure on them, but this was bad from
Klopp
Liverpool.
got his substitutions all wrong.
Yeah.
Also, like he took Salah off only up 2-1. Like that's the other thing. Like all those substitutions make sense if you end up going up 3-1, and it felt like Klopp kind of managed the game as if it was at 3-1 and not at 2-1. Took away all of his real goal-scoring options with Salah coming off. Right. Then they give up multiple leads and a final goal. I mean, that final 2v1 that Diallo scored on, why is there one guy back in a tie game in extra time?
In theory,
away from home.
On a corner kick, literally just surround people around the box and let Van Dijk be your solo runner. If anyone's going to score, it's going to be him, and don't get beat on the break.
It's almost as if Klopp was like, I'd rather lose than go to penalties. Like he felt that he needed a goal to win there. I mean, they should, as you said, they should have put the game away 5, 6, 7 other times. Yeah. But I was saying to you while we were watching, like Liverpool just are not the same structure that they were of previous years. Like that midfield, they weren't getting run through the entire match, but like considering how bad Manchester United's midfield has been, and we talk about it, and there's so many funny screenshots all over fucking Twitter today of what their midfield looked like with like 7 players forward and then Liverpool driving out of back 4 with nobody in between. Yeah. The same thing was happening to Liverpool, and like we're not used to seeing that. And Endo has been great at times and really nearly had a great goal today as well. But him and McAllister just have not seemingly put together enough good games in a row where like I think this midfield is going to be able to go on and win the Premier League where they are right now. I just think that there's too much, like not luck necessarily, but if you look statistically, they're nowhere near where your City and Arsenal are in a lot of major categories. And like eventually that is going to run out if they don't start being more clinical. And as I was saying to you, I think there's a couple of those goals that we're used to Alisson saving, and with Kelleher in there, Liverpool aren't getting bailed out the way that we've been seeing them get bailed out by Alisson for a decade, because Alisson's the best goalkeeper maybe in Premier League history.
Yeah, I think the Antony finish is a goal regardless. I don't think Alisson saves that, but I think not taking away from the winner, it was a great finish, but I do think that is saved by Alisson. Yeah, and the funniest part is who came to the forefront for United and won that game for them. I mean, Antony scoring, which... Was that his first goal?
Second goal of the season.
Second goal this season. Yeah, like that's just
$100 million winger.
That's just absolutely insane to me. But like you always say, when you have enough 100 mil plus players, of just eventually their
that's
class
what
is
United have been living off of, like literally since Sir Alex
that with
left.
Højlund also, yeah.
I mean, that's what they were doing with fucking Ole, even with Jose Mourinho when they were winning. Like Zlatan, like when the year they won 2 trophies, Zlatan just bailed them out multiple times. Rashford done it for a while.
Ronaldo was doing it for a little when he was there.
Ronaldo did it for like if you have enough talent on the pitch, like you are going to do well enough, especially in cup competitions. I think we see that a lot where it's like one-off games. This game ended up going to extra time. Like that's in another world. That's in a Premier League match. It's 1 point for Manchester United at home, and we're not talking about this like it's a great performance, but it's a cup competition. There's kind of some nonsense, some magic that happens, obviously, and here we are. They're in the fucking semifinals.
I think back to your point on the sub, taking Salah is literally the exact type of player where all those chances that came in the second half, it's like, oh, Salah got his second and killed off the game, and Liverpool is going to the semifinal.
Also, the management of Salah in the last few weeks by Klopp has been very
odd,
confusing.
Very
Playing
odd.
him and starting him in the Europa League the first time, and then benching him against
yeah.
City. Then they're up 4 goals in the Europa League for the second leg, and he starts Salah.
I know. Yeah, I thought same exact
If Salah
thing.
hadn't played midweek, Salah probably plays 120 minutes today, and they probably win the match. It's just very uncharacteristic of Klopp. A lot of the things that are going on with this team, I think that's partially why he's leaving. I think for him, like, he's a very energy-based manager. And when, like, he starts to feel like he's not fully in it, not that he's not fully in it for Liverpool, but, like, clearly this isn't where he wants to necessarily be long-term anymore. And I think he's just making uncharacteristic mistakes, and I think it's going to cost him. It cost him in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
It's going to cost him in the Premier League. It already has. They may end the season just being League Cup winners because, you know,
that's if you tell me Salah's playing all 90, Liverpool's winning that match 3-1, and he's getting a second goal. And
100%.
Instead, you keep on Darwin, who we both agree has been fantastic and is going to continue to be fantastic, but a younger player, a less experienced player, he's the one who got stripped a bit lazily in his own half and leads to Rashford's goal. So, yeah, I agree. Odd things from Klopp, which is just very uncharacteristic from him.
100%. And, I mean, as you said it right, like Nunez and Diaz, like I think we both have our opinions on them, but they're generally good finishers, but they just were not deadly a few times when they had to be. Too much passing around. Like nobody on Liverpool took that game and was like, I'm going to go win it for us now and put this away so that we can relax for the last 20 minutes, and it cost them. And again, I think we're sitting here kind of shocked because it's shocked. We don't talk about Liverpool like this. Like one thing Liverpool has always had over every team is mentality, right? Like even when Liverpool won the league, City was probably better. They're probably a better side with more talent, but always with Klopp, it's been mentality, and they've killed games off, and that's what they've done best. And you didn't see that today, and maybe that's a sign for the future without Klopp, what it might look like.
And the funniest part is that exactly the mentality that Liverpool has is so different, and I think that's what took them over a little, and they were at Anfield, as we talked about, in that City match. But you don't see this kind of fight from United often. So that was extremely surprising. I've said this a lot. When you have Bruno Fernandes as your captain, and that's how you look to, like, of course there's no fight. You've no one who makes you want to fight for something more for the badge. I mean, Anthony comes on and he almost rips his shirt off, like pointing at the badge.
Diallo scores and literally takes his shirt off and gets sent off in the second yellow card.
And that's like, the mentality is like a good and a bad thing. Like if you're Diallo, like you can't do that.
No.
And if you have a better leader than Ten Hag, and if you have a better leader than Bruno, something like that probably doesn't happen. He's a young player, so to give blame to other people, he definitely deserves some blame. But if there's a better general culture, that doesn't happen.
I mean, Diallo's the same guy we're talking about who removed everything about Manchester United from every one of his social media 2 weeks ago. So let's just be clear.
No, but big credit to them for them to do it not just once, but twice after Harvey Elliott scored the deflected goal. They do get a lot of props for showing that determination twice in a match.
Let me ask you this. 2 things. First, now with Liverpool out, are City in line to repeat treble?
Yeah, not even close.
Like, they're favorites to win the FA Cup, they're favorites to win the Premier League, and they're favorites to win the Champions League.
I mean, there's no one who, like, Coventry, Chelsea, and United aren't even going to sniff a chance at. Like we say, in cup competitions, anything can happen, but, like, I would find it very hard to believe that anyone's going to touch City.
I'm going to be rooting for United in the FA Cup because if they win, there's no way they're going to fire Ten Hag. And the longer Ten Hag's around, the bigger issue they're going to have.
They have no identity. It's bad. You said, I actually thought United's midfield was getting overrun a little.
Overrun like crazy today.
Yeah.
I mean, Kobe Mainoo, and I'm a huge fan of his, but, like, I think if you watch the game a little bit more when he's not on the ball, like, he's still struggling to find where he needs to be out of possession. He's a little bit overzealous, but not in a bad way. Like, you want a young player to be pressing high up the pitch or whatever, but at times, especially with the lack of a true 6, McTominay also loves to get forward. Bruno Fernandes, not a real midfielder. Like, there just isn't somebody in that base of midfield who's kind of keeping the gap between phase 3 and phase 1, and so they're just getting run through, and Liverpool should have put the game away because of that. It didn't happen,
times.
But, I mean, that's why you're not going to see consistent results from United.
Yeah. They need exactly what Casemiro was 5 years ago, just not today. Yeah. All right, should we move to, well, last thing, I have a question. Do you think this result allows United to take this run with it and start improving because of it, or it was just like a flash in the pan?
It's just like there's nothing to look at this match and be like, we can improve from this. We learned something today that we didn't know prior. We did something today we weren't
like
doing
about
before.
Fighting for something. Like, it feels like they feel so uninspired.
But it's again, even like this match, like it was a bunch of individuals who made excellent plays at excellent moments to win
like that
matches.
Anthony goal isn't well worked. It's just a brilliant piece of play.
Nonsense.
The Diallo goal is an unreal finish.
Ridiculous finish.
The Rashford finish is, I mean, the inconsistency is insane from him, but even that finish was great.
Yeah, I mean, I think what Rashford showed today is, like, obviously the two big misses were frustrating if you're a United fan, but, like, just to have a player who's constantly getting into those positions, constantly stretching the back line. Like, Højlund's great, but he hasn't quite learned that off the ball yet. He does not always give trouble to center backs. There are matches like today where he was not bringing enough trouble, and, like, Rashford's constantly going to get in behind. And that's something you need, that you stretch the defense. That's what he can do as an inside forward. I think in a world where Manchester United have Luke Shaw healthy, there's a lot of a different dynamic there. They've had so many random players play left back this year. Bissaka played today. Lindelof has played there. Amrabat has played there. Like, it's been a disaster. They had Reguilon for a period of the season.
Rashford a starter or super sub at the Euros this summer?
For dynamics purposes, I've been saying this for a while. I think Rashford, Kane, Saka is the perfect front three. I think that allows Saka to dictate the game the way he's always going to dictate it, kind of coming from the right wing and cutting inside. You have Kane being, as excellent of a number 9 as there is in the world, and Rashford can stretch defenses. Yeah. I think it's the perfect dynamic three. But I don't know. I mean, the way Foden's playing, it's hard not to include him some way as well.
Right. All right. Well, we move to the Prem, where Tottenham lost 3-0.
Tottenham got absolutely manhandled by Fulham. And honestly, we've dropped points to Fulham this year too, multiple times.
Fulham is very good.
Confusing.
I think they're really good.
I mean, that kid Rodrigo Muniz has been incredible as of late.
2 weeks ago, I said on my TikTok to watch out for him. He is going to be serious.
I think it's 7-7 for him.
Yeah, he's very good. Anthony Robinson, who we'll get to, put in another brilliant shift.
Tied Clint Dempsey for most assists in a Premier League season by an American.
Yeah. So takeaways, I already see. What did we do this 2 weeks ago where we lost and people were asking for Ange to be out?
Well, here's the thing. People are forgetting, like, they're looking at this top 4 race with Villa and Tottenham and sort of Manchester United, not really, and being like, oh, if they'll just win every match and they'll be top. Like, that's why they're not in the title race. They're in the top 4 race. Like, both Villa and Tottenham are going to lose 2 or 3 more games 100%. In the last 10 easily. That's why it's a top 4 race. Like, that's the difference.
No, it's just so frustrating, and I think it was 2 weeks ago we had this exact conversation. We lose one match. Granted, 3-0 got pretty much dominated throughout the entire match. Yeah. Like, questions need to be asked, but, like, enough with the Ange out. Like, we're in a top 4 race.
Are there really Ange out? Like, I don't see that.
On Twitter, it's like, as much as I didn't want to say it, like, you can see now Ange isn't the guy, and they're like, he can't deviate from his plan and change his tactics. And while that is part of being a manager, I actually prefer him relentlessly and unapologetically putting in an identity that we're going to play this way and we're going to impose ourselves the same way Arsenal and City, they played the same way. They imposed themselves on their opponent every single match. And this is his first season, a bunch of new players. Obviously, it's not going to go extremely well every time, but if he drills it into the minds of our players that this is how we're going to play, and if you can't adapt to it, you got to go. I love that. Like, let's create an identity.
I 100% agree, and I think once, like, the first 10 matches, like, all that kind of wore out, and, like, you took a better look at what the Tottenham situation is, like, Ange is the ideal manager for a Tottenham. Like, this is exactly what they should strive for. A guy who's going to – you're going to be in Champions League next year, bar some ridiculous disaster. All of the England teams somehow crash out in the next round, and we don't get 5th spot for the Champions League.
Or we just get 4th.
Or you get 4th. And that's ideal for Tottenham. Like, they're going to battle to be second. Maybe second is like a ceiling. 3rd and 4th, like, every single year for now.
Yeah, for now.
I'm not saying, like, you can never challenge for a title.
No,
but
for now.
With this situation, find yourself in Champions League. Try and make a cup run in some situation by just imposing your will, being the attacking team you can be. And sure, maybe somehow one year there's a Leicester City type thing where the Premier League's in a little bit tumultuous, and so maybe you end up stumbling upon some incredible striker who scores every match for, like, I mean, all the right things have to happen.
I agree.
That's what Tottenham should be striving for. Right. Like, they should be striving for being a top 4 team every year and hoping to make a semifinal or final of either the FA Cup, the League Cup, or Champions League every year. and then maybe one year they win a trophy. And by the way, like the trophy thing's a funny bit and whatever. I do genuinely believe if Tottenham can get over the hump of just getting their next trophy, I think it'll open the floodgates a little bit more to them being a more successful team. And that's hard for me to say as an Arsenal fan. No, but there is a mental aspect to it about a culture of losing that you need to get past.
And I think Ange is trying to build a culture
I agree.
exactly to where that won't. I agree. Once you get the title, you can throw that out, and it is a sense of relief, and you can take a breath. But I think he's trying to get that out even before we win the title,
I agree.
which I think is great. And I think, once again, everyone needs to relax. And like you touched on, even for myself, I've been able to level myself because I try to be a realist for most things. But, like, that 10-game stretch, I think, fucked some people up. Like, they didn't realize that they were like, oh, we don't need to rebuild. We're the best team in the Premier League. And if we didn't start that way, I think people would be more okay with...
Right, if you had started the way your form is now and then went on this 10-game stretch right now, people would be like, okay, Tottenham is
we're in the perfect rebuild. Yes, we're trending upwards. I agree. It just, we were unreal to start the season, so people got unreal expectations.
This is a stepping stone season for Tottenham. The goal should be 4th place. It shouldn't just be Champions League. It should be 4th place.
Agreed.
Because realistically, next year, like at a certain point, Chelsea's going to turn this around with the amount of talent they
100%.
have. They're going to be a top 4 team again.
I think you're already seeing flashes of it too.
You would assume Manchester United is just going to find their way into a top 4 battle at some point.
If they keep
Ten
Hag, I don't know.
But nonetheless, like Tottenham need to get Champions League so they can attract Champions League talent to help the rebuild. That's the biggest issue that Arsenal had the couple of years. I think it took us a year longer because we missed out on Champions League.
Yeah.
1 year earlier when we had that kind of another bottle situation where you guys ended up getting 4th.
Yeah.
Like, it is harder to attract Champions League talent.
Yeah.
Especially if you're Tottenham, where like it's already harder to attract talent than a Liverpool or a Manchester City.
And a few things, like people aren't putting enough credit to the fact that we lost our best ever player in the history of Tottenham. Like, that's not just something most people would be able to just like get over. Like, the fact that we lost Kane and are still competitive is extremely... And we didn't get a replacement for him either. We kind of... I mean...
You signed Brennan Johnson for $50 million as a striker.
Who's been actually
he's
very
been good. But that was the... I mean, you're not going to replace Kane with Osimhen.
No, of course not. But, like, Alejo Veliz, we signed at 18. Like, he's not the replacement. He's the future. I think what we're doing is fine, and everyone needs to relax. And if we get top 4... I looked at the... whatever the breakdown was of funds we'll be able to spend next year because of how successful Tottenham Hotspur Stadium has been. Like, the amount of revenue as a whole we're bringing in. And then if you add Champions League football into it, like, I think we're going to be in a great position going into next year. And last thing, I think this shows just how good Mickey Van de Ven is. Dragusin, obviously, first Premier League start, struggled a little. I'm not, like, freaking out about Dragusin's play, but I do think this shows just how good Mickey Van de Ven has been. I've been preaching just how good he is. I think he's top 3.
I agree.
Top 3 signing of the entire summer in the Premier League.
I mean, I think he is far and away Tottenham's best defender, and I don't think it's remotely close.
I know you
excellent.
hate Romero.
I mean, Romero just has many flaws, and Van de Ven doesn't. Romero has moments of brilliance and moments of absolute idiocy. I have not seen that from Van de Ven. I've just seen solid center back.
Romero is maturing. And he has less yellow cards this season than Mikel Arteta. That's just a cold, hard fact. I just presented a cold, hard fact that our center back, who has anger management problems and loses his head all the time, has less yellow cards than the Arsenal manager.
That is so fucking funny. Oh, my God.
All right, let's move. Quick thoughts on Villa and West Ham.
It's just Unai Emery, man. Like, he's going to bottle this. This is what he does. And, like, I got hate today for saying it again, but, like, Unai Emery is great for what he's great at, and he can win Europa Leagues with the absolute best of them. Right. And that is why clubs like Sevilla and Villarreal have been perfect places for Unai Emery. English fans don't give a fuck about the Europa League. Let's just be clear.
Yes.
Like, if he brings Aston Villa Europa League, I think they'll be happy, but I think they'd be happier being in the Champions League next year, especially when they were title race contenders just 2 months ago.
No one said that. Oh, delusional people.
People thought they were more in the title race than Arsenal.
All right, I hate Arsenal, and I'm not even that dumb.
You thought Tottenham was in the title race. So
I did. I admitted. I was caught up in that 10-game stretch. We were fantastic.
Yeah, you were fantastic. Nonetheless, Villa were lucky to not lose.
Right, because, I also think I think he bottled the Tottenham match without a doubt coming out in the back 5. But I think West Ham actually is pretty good.
Yeah,
so
West Ham, they're coming off of, they were on one of the worst runs of form in like their recent history. Yeah. But now they're
going to West Ham with a fully healthy, like,
Kudus
Bowen, Kudus, Paquetá, like that's a really, really good three under a striker.
Kudus is so
It's
good.
time to move on from Mikel Antonio, though. I know, like he continues to score.
I think Eddie
but,
Nketiah is going to be at West Ham next year.
Really?
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
I think that would be perfect for
I
him.
think he deserves a chance. I also want to see McTominay go somewhere and get starting minutes.
As a center forward?
Well, I think, like...
Did you know that guy on Twitter talks about how McTominay should be a striker? He's been talking about it for like 7 years.
I just think he could be similar to what Fellaini was.
Yeah, I mean, that is kind of what he is.
Yeah. So I want to see him do that for
right now,
a long period of time.
Do you feel you're 3 points behind Villa with a game in hand?
Yeah.
Do you, and they have one better goal differential than you, I think, plus 18, you're plus 17. Mm-hmm. What do you think are your chances of getting that 4th place and not having to worry about coefficient?
So I was worried about our run-in, and then luckily I saw a graphic today of their run-in. Their run-in is extremely tough. We actually play strictly top 4 or strictly bottom 4, something like that. Obviously not exactly, but and then Chelsea and Newcastle littered in there. But we play every single relegation favorite and then every title favorite. Yeah, which is just really funny, and I think.
Are you worried that you play us 3 all in a row, City, Liverpool, and Arsenal?
Of course.
Because like if you had sprinkled them and you win the other 7 and then you sprinkle those 3 losses in, but if you lose those 3 in a row, what is that going to do to
I don't think we'll lose all 3 in a row because a couple of them are at home, and we do actually City. We do play well at home. And yeah, I'm not too concerned. I think we'll get top 4. I think Villa's run is really difficult, and I think two things. We're playing a couple of the relegation favorites before, so we'll get some confidence back before going into those matches, which I think is important. And also, what's special about this relegation battle is that they're done. So it's not like where they're fighting.
Well, I mean, they're gonna
fight, but like they know that they're cooked.
Not a good situation.
Yeah, so I think I stand. We did this last week. I stand on Tottenham, Villa, United. I still don't think United, regardless of that result, is playing good enough to...
They have to win out, basically, I think, to get 4th.
All right, now I'm excited about this. Champions League draw. We're not
I wanted Bayern.
So you wanted Bayern, so I want to get your thoughts now that it's actually real, rather than you just saying that.
Here's what I'll say. Number 1 team I didn't... Who do you think was the number 1 team I didn't want?
Atletico Madrid.
100%.
Everyone feels that way. And by the way...
They're literally Porto with more talent.
By the way, what did I say when we did our Champions League thing?
Yeah,
if you can predict who wins that Atletico Madrid Inter Milan, and now they get the draw, they could be in a final sure.
My buddy took your advice, but he took Inter.
I probably would have. If I had to choose, I probably would have also.
He texted me, he's like, damn, my biggest future was on Inter. I have a little on Arsenal, but I listened to you guys and put it on Inter.
Yeah. No.
I wanted Bayern.
They also got blessed with their side of...
For sure. Well, I wanted Dortmund, first of all. But
of course.
I knew we weren't getting Dortmund.
Yeah.
So I wanted Bayern because I want a team who thinks they can go out and just beat us and play us versus Porto, who anyone left in the Champions League who just sits back and does what Porto does has a great chance of beating anybody.
We've talked about this. I think Arsenal
struggles
against the low block.
I mean, everyone struggles against the low block for the most part.
For the most part, but I think it hurts Arsenal a little more just because they don't have the killers. But yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Honestly, that Memphis Depay goal that he scored.
Yeah, your tweet was amazing.
Like, if we had a player who could receive the ball like that and turn and shoot, like, that's why we need a striker like an Osimhen or Mika Biereth, who's this amazing lone striker we have.
I got a lot of hate. I said in one of my takeaways, I was like, the difference in the Champions League is you need those killers that,
100%.
like, Griezmann puts away a brilliant goal, Depay puts away, like, that's the difference. And I got hate for including Lewandowski, but, like, I'm not going to, like, put Barcelona to bed yet because they do have Lewandowski who, yes, he's not in his prime anymore, but he's still capable of doing that on the biggest stage.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I mean, obviously I wanted Bayern, not City or Madrid. I thought Bayern was the perfect, like, that's a team who thinks they're the best in the world, but they're not playing that well right now.
They're
back in good form.
Improved, yes, which I think is bad
Harry
for you
Kane
guys.
did just get hurt.
I know, his ankle.
Which, we'll see. I mean, I'd love to play them full strength, but if Harry Kane doesn't play, it is what it is. Choupo-Moting has to play up top. That is what it is.
Kane has to play in those games.
I think he will. I mean, I think it'll be a good match. I want us to play against the best. Like, going out to Porto would have been the worst thing for this team because it would have been nonstop, like, oh, Arsenal aren't for real, Arteta's not for real. Well, if we go out to Bayern, we go out to Bayern. Yeah. But we also get a chance to show that we are the second best team in the world.
Yeah, no, I think Bayern is a perfect, like, it's not a City or Madrid who, like, probably you could, I think it's pretty respected that Arsenal should be, and this is the first time to really stamp that. Like, Arsenal, we're here, and we are like a giant to stay,
a top 3 team
and we
in the
should
world.
Expect to beat Bayern Munich.
100%.
Yeah.
And
I think
honestly,
this is a great opportunity.
I think, like, when we lost to them 10-2 going into those matches 8 years ago, like, no Arsenal fan thought we were at that level of Bayern.
And Bayern was
They were
at
fine.
The top.
Yeah. And, like, now, like, there's not a single person I've seen on our timeline who's like, this is a shitty draw. Like, Other than the reaction is we're fucked being on the City Madrid side, not that we're playing Bayern.
Correct.
And it's like, if we could beat Bayern and get to the semifinal of the Champions League first time in 8 years, like that's a fucking huge success.
It's a great success.
Huge success.
And you don't even have a striker.
Yeah, I mean,
and then you maybe sign Osimhen, and then you become an actual. I completely agree. Actually,
I'm very excited. I mean, City Madrid. You see this draw, and you see why the Champions League is changing the way the seeding is working. It shouldn't work this way.
Correct.
Dortmund should have to play City.
Yeah.
Madrid should play Athletic. It should be.
Yeah.
Like that American sports get that right with the seeding. That makes it better. Like right now, the final likely will not be as enjoyable as one of the quarterfinals, which is kind of stupid.
3 things. 2 things I saw on Twitter. One, some Arsenal. I agree. A lot of Arsenal fans were not complaining, this is the reality, but some Arsenal fans were like, holy shit, we got fucked with the draw. And then someone quote tweeted with a really funny meme, when they found out that they don't get to play Fenerbahce in the Champions League quarterfinals. It was a wake up call to Arsenal fans that there's actually good teams in the tournament.
Also, the Final 8 this year versus last year is so much better.
Yeah. I did see an interesting tweet though, where it's look at these quarterfinal teams. Which of these teams have Bayern Munich 2023 versus Bayern Munich 5 years ago, all these teams, which of these teams are better than their teams 5 years ago? And it made me think, where is it worse? Are we being nostalgia merchants? Because every single team, Barca 5 years ago, way better. Bayern 5 years ago, way better. All these, Real Madrid 5 years ago, way better.
Well, I think it's 2 things. Number one, we lived through the Ronaldo and Messi era.
Right.
And so it's if
that automatically takes
Barca, those 2 teams are not going to we're not on paper this Madrid team maybe is as good if you don't have Ronaldo. First of all, Modric and Kroos are still in this Madrid team.
No, I know, but I think this Madrid team in 3 years could be the best team ever.
Right, that's
if
what I'm saying.
Chouameni,
but
Mbappe.
If we look in 5 years and then look back on this team and they end up doing what we're saying that
right. Yeah. No, that's true.
Bayern, 5 years ago, Bayern wasn't as good as 8 years ago, Bayern.
Well, no, I know. It was just saying in general.
I think there's some nostalgia to it. This Atletico team, to me, maybe is better than any of the previous because Diego Simeone actually is going out and attacking for the first time in his career as a manager and not...
Which is amazing because he still has that, original Simeone vibe to him to where they were really tough to beat and everyone still gets that vibe, but they're also attacking, which I think is interesting.
That's why they're...
the fact that they hold on to that, I knew the first person you didn't want to see is Atletico Madrid.
Not a chance.
And the fact that they still hold that reputation while still attacking, I think makes them extremely exciting. And I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about it. Inter Milan didn't come not to play, but Atletico Madrid in that second leg, made it very clear that they were there to completely
100%.
take this. So,
So what's your prediction right now? Finals and champions.
So if we had talked last week or 2 weeks ago, I honestly would have said Arsenal, but I think Bayern is starting to find their footing. And I think, which shocked me and I don't agree with, but Tuchel has reintegrated Thomas Muller into the starting lineup, and he's been huge for them.
Yeah.
He just knows how to get it done, and especially in over 2 legs where the older players can be rested at the weekend or maybe and just be there for the Champions League matches. I think Muller could make the difference. If Kane's healthy, I'm taking Bayern. If Kane's not healthy, I'm taking Arsenal. Similar to what you were saying about the Tottenham Trophy thing.
Yeah.
As much as it is a different team, and this could be the opportunity they do it, but in the back of a lot of they're gonna see these guys. All these kids are on Twitter. They're on Instagram. They see it. Everyone's gonna be talking about the Arsenal Bayern matches of the past. It's going to be in the back of their heads. As soon as Arsenal isn't dominating and doing what they're used to do, and maybe Bayern gets them on the back foot, it could start creeping into their mind for me.
All right, let's go matchup by matchup, and then we'll make our bracket and make our finals.
All right.
You are going to take Bayern?
I'm taking Bayern if Kane is healthy.
All right. Are you taking Bayern?
No, I'm allowed to hedge like that. He's the best striker in the world.
Assume he's going to play at least one leg.
If he plays one leg completely healthy, not the one leg where he played our Champions League final.
He's going to start in at least one leg.
If Kane is healthy, let's assume he plays one leg, I'm taking Bayern Munich.
All right, I'll take Arsenal.
Okay, what's next?
City Madrid?
City Madrid. City does not look good, but I'm still sticking with City.
I'm going to go Madrid.
You're going to go Madrid.
I'm going to go Madrid.
Madrid got dominated by RB Leipzig across both legs. And they're Madrid, so they get it
done.
done.
They're so fucking inevitable in the Champions League, and I feel like there's no way all of a sudden Pep's just going back-to-back Champions Leagues. So I think City's now, they got the FA Cup they're still in. They got to try and win this title. I know Pep doesn't want Klopp winning this title.
Without the true number 9, I still think there's something holding Madrid back just a little.
Okay, so now you've got Bayern City. I've got Arsenal Madrid. Who are you taking in Bayern
taking City.
I'm going to take Arsenal.
Okay.
So we've got Arsenal.
If Man City beats Real Madrid and it's Man City Arsenal, who do you have going to the final?
Probably, I don't know. We kind of have City's number this year.
Okay.
City. I'll say City. But
Thank you.
So
are you hedging Real Madrid because you want to face them, or you think they're going to win?
I think Madrid's going to beat City, and I think we're going to beat Madrid.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. On to the other
side. Atletico Dortmund. Atletico. No
Dortmund
brainer.
was the clear worst left in 100%. In the quarterfinals.
I think that'll be a laughable leg.
I don't like Atletico. Doesn't give me the vibes to where they're gonna go out and win it 5-0 on aggregate.
Dortmund just isn't gonna get a grip on the game.
Yeah,
at
I
any
agree.
Point.
I think Atletico. Yeah.
Bayern PSG.
Not Bayern.
I mean, Barca PSG.
Barca PSG. Barca looked really good against Napoli. Has struggled a ton. I'm going to go with PSG. I think.
Me too.
I think this whole Mbappe not playing on the weekends and him.
I think they may just go out and win the Champions League.
This is the perfect story. Mbappe gives PSG finally their Champions League. I think we talk about mentality a lot. The fact that, like, this is literally 2 different teams. They're like, oh, we'll play a bunch of young guys on the weekend, prepare for this team next season without Mbappe. And then they're like, all right, let's put our studs out there. We're going to win the Champions League with Kylian Mbappe. And now they have the draw to do it. I'm taking PSG.
Me as well. All right. PSG, Atletico.
Yeah, I like PSG. I'm glad we're on the same wavelength. I really like PSG.
I'm going to take Atletico in that.
Really?
I think that I think is the worst possible matchup for PSG.
I
just don't think they can physically handle that matchup. Like, I just think that they'll get bowled over.
I think PSG is ready. For some reason, this split of teams might be exactly what PSG have needed.
It's almost too good, though, for them, where like they'll just bottle it.
No, I think PSG gets to the final. I think it was a perfect draw for them. Mbappe,
so you have PSG City in your final.
I have PSG City. And I think City will win. I want PSG. I feel like Mbappe gets a little bit of a villain arc because of how things have gone at PSG. But, like, I think this would be the perfect way. He's a French kid, gives PSG their Champions League, then goes to Real Madrid to create potentially the best team in the history of the sport.
All right. I have Arsenal Atletico because I think Arteta and Simeone in a final of the Champions League, like,
they'd fight on the
it would be incredible. It would be literally like WWE fucking like them throwing punches. I think it would be awesome. And fuck it. Arsenal win the Champions League.
Okay. We knew that was coming. If it's all right, fine. Like, if it's City Atletico, who do you have, City?
Atletico.
Really?
I kind of think Atletico's going to win it all. Like, as we were saying, like this.
No, I agree. They're perfect for this tournament, but I don't know.
Also, like Simeone just like. He deserves a Champions League. With what he's done with Atletico, like, over the last decade, he deserves a Champions League. And this, as you're saying for PSG, this is kind of the draw. Like, if Atletico can get to a one-off game in the final, and they can easily win.
100%. I mean, Inter almost did it to City.
Yeah, 100%.
No, I think I'm following a little bit of heart overhead with the Mbappe thing. I just think it's the perfect story.
It's a great story.
And if he gets that Champions League with PSG, he now starts with what team he's going to go into Real Madrid.
His legacy looks a little different.
I swear to God, if he wins this Champions League, he is opening himself up to being the greatest player of all time.
Yeah, I mean, he'll already have a World Cup and a Champions League, and then obviously seven titles.
Then Real Madrid is going to be a force with Liverpool on the way down, City maybe a little bit on the way down. Who knows? You can't say that yet, but I'm so excited for these Champions League quarterfinals.
It's going to be a decade of Arsenal and Madrid.
I will be at the Champions League semifinal. TBD if Will is going to join me there. I told you I'm going.
I told you when you book it to let me know.
I know. I need this Tottenham Arsenal game to get scheduled, and then I'm going to the Champions League semifinal.
All right.
And the cities that I'm going to be at, I'm extremely excited for. But Americans Abroad update.
Let's do it.
All right. Americans Abroad update, March 17th, starting in Italy, where Captain America cannot stop scoring. He scored the opener for Milan against Slavia Prague midweek, and then scored the winner at the weekend versus Hellas Verona. He is in unreal form, and we'll get back to him at the end of this update. Yunus Musa got the start midweek, which is nice to see, and then came on as a 66th-minute sub against Verona. McKennie started, and Weah came on as a sub for Juve in their 0-0 draw to Genoa. Over to England, where Anthony Robinson picked up an unreal assist with a pinpoint cross to Muniz in Fulham's 3-0 win against Tottenham. And Anthony was so good that Spurs fans were asking for us to find a replacement for Kulusevski at right wing over the summer because Anthony Robinson absolutely pocketed him. I'm I'm equally upset and happy about that. Elsewhere in England, Haji Wright scored the winner at the death for Coventry City, sending them into the FA Cup semifinals, which is amazing. And he just replaced Sargent in the U.S. team.
Saw that.
Speaking of Sargent, he scored for Norwich in their 3-0 win. He also can't stop scoring, similar to Pulisic.
Ridiculous.
We might have a striker debate on our hands because Balogun, let's just get to France, where Balogun came off the bench. It was a short 2-striker system for Monaco. They went back to 1, and Ben Yedder was the starter. Balogun came on as a sub, didn't do much there. So striker-wise, at what point with Pepe, he's not getting the starts because De Jong's in such good form for PSV, but Haji Wright's in unreal form, Josh Sargent's in unreal form, and if we agreed that we want Balogun to get that place when he comes in so he has that confidence, but at what point is he not the starter?
I don't know. I mean, we got big matches this week in the Nations League.
Yep.
I think we're going to learn a lot. I think it's clear Haji Wright's not at the top of the list, considering he wasn't selected until Sargent went out with what I think was called ankle irritation, is what I read.
Interesting.
I think
what the fuck does that mean?
I'm not really sure, but if you're Josh Sargent and you're firing the way you are, you would think you would do anything it takes to get into this U.S. team right now.
Agreed.
So I guess
I don't think he's at. I mean, we're only going to take 3. And if we have 4 in this group,
we might take 4 strikers.
You think so?
I guess
if he's gonna take Reyna and he's gonna take there's a lot
you're
of
right,
attackers.
Like if he wasn't taking Haji Wright as is, so
right.
Yeah. No, I mean I think Balogun has to be the starter. He just offers more than Sargent.
Yeah.
Like I think Sargent, the fact that he's scoring a lot is great because I think a lot of the discourse around Sargent over the last few years has been like he adds a lot to the team but isn't scoring goals.
Yeah.
The thing with Balogun, I think, is he adds a different level of athleticism. He adds a different level of physicality that Sargent doesn't have. He's able to drag defenders around, give Pulisic the freedom to, move into the inside forward position, whereas Balogun's happy to push out to the wing and kind of rotate. I just think he's the perfect fit for this tactic. And, for the last 18 months before Balogun officially became a USA player, that was the discourse I was pushing. It's he is the perfect striker for the system. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to see him in that position. I think he's going to start in these Nations League matches. And then, if he plays poorly, then there's a discussion to be had.
My only thing is striker the most, if not goalkeeper there with it. Confidence for a striker can be as important as the quality that they have.
100%.
So if Sargent's banging him in, Balogun's just giving 30-minute, 20-minute cameos for Monaco, these matches will be a good showing of if he can turn it on for the U.S.
100%.
In Germany, Brendan Aronson is really starting to find his footing. He scored a brilliant goal for Union Berlin in their 2-1 win over Werder Bremen, he was not getting time and not good when he was. So this has been huge that he's starting to play well.
And he just got selected as well.
Yeah. And another one that we didn't even talk about, Jordan Pefok picked up an assist from Mönchengladbach in their 1-1 in their 1-1 draw where Scally started at left back again, interestingly enough. And finally in Spain, Cardoso got the start for Betis. So yeah, I completely forgot about Pefok because I hadn't gotten him to him on my sheet, but he's been pretty good and active and starts every single week for Mönchengladbach. So
for a good Bundesliga side.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting where that goes. Last thing that I didn't touch on was Gio Reyna and Matt Turner were both unused subs in Nottingham Forest 1-1 draw to Luton. We've talked about the goalie problem. At least Gio's on the bench because he was an unused, not injured anything.
Not in the squad.
In the squad. So goalkeepers, hands up, didn't recognize that third name.
Yeah, I didn't know who that was either.
I don't even know who he plays for.
He's got to be an MLS player.
Yeah, so we have a problem at goalkeeper because no one's even getting minutes. But a bad problem for goalkeeper and a good problem for striker. So I think I'd maybe rather that just because Americans turn it on in the tournament.
I was going to say also, we've always had Tim Howard and we didn't know who else was going to be in the team sheet. Now we have the opposite problem. I think we'd be happy with this problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm happy with where we're at. So Christian Pulisic now has 15 goal involvements this season. And I want to play a little game with you. Okay. I looked up this article by 90 Min was posted at the end of February, so relatively recently.
Sure.
The top 25 wingers in the world. And I want you to tell me, we're going to play Pulisic and I want you to tell me, would you rather Pulisic or this guy?
And all these people, I assume, are going to be ranked higher than Pulisic, who was not on this top 25 list.
Correct.
He was not on it.
I didn't include all top 25 because that would be long, and I didn't include who was on there was Foden. I didn't include Son. I didn't include because he's been playing some striker, and Cole Palmer and Jared Bowen. I also didn't include because Bowen's been playing a little striker. Cole Palmer's been playing cam, so I didn't include them. So first three we can get out of the way. Salah, Saka, Vinny. Obviously. Martinelli or Christian Pulisic?
Martinelli.
Right now?
Yes.
Okay. For the record, I would rather Pulisic. Marcus Rashford or Christian Pulisic?
Rashford.
Right now?
Yes.
I would like Christian Pulisic. Luis Diaz or Christian Pulisic?
Pulisic.
Kulusevski or Pulisic?
Pulisic.
Leroy Sané or Pulisic?
Leroy Sané hasn't scored in 5 months. Pulisic.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Wow, because I highlighted the people on this list who have more goal involvements than... There are only 7 wingers in the entire world, top 5 leagues, who have more goal involvements than Christian Pulisic.
Can I try and guess who they are? Do you have them?
I have them all listed. Sané is one of them. He hasn't scored in 5 matches? In 5 months?
That's what I read today. Hold on.
Sané is top 5, I think. I mean, a lot of those assists might be going to Harry Kane.
His last goal was October 28th.
Wow. Yeah, Sané is one of those guys. I'll let you guess.
He has more goal involvements than
Pulisic.
In what time frame?
This 23-24. This season.
He has 11 assists this year in the Bundesliga alone.
So, all right, Sané or Christian Pulisic?
Pulisic.
Kavicha or Pulisic?
Pulisic.
Really?
Kavicha is one of the most overrated players in the world.
Has more goal involvements. Leon Bailey or Christian Pulisic?
Pulisic, not even close.
Has more goal involvements.
Not even close.
Anthony Gordon or Pulisic?
Pulisic.
Has more goal involvements.
Not even close.
Jadon Sancho or Christian Pulisic?
Pulisic.
Ousmane Dembele or Pulisic?
Ousmane Dembele has 1 goal for PSG. Pulisic. Honestly, that is my biggest L take of my entire...
You thought Dembele was going to be the guy?
I thought Dembele was better than Mbappe.
Wow. Yeah, that is an L take.
My biggest L take in any sport ever.
Lamine Yamal, Christian Pulisic?
Right now?
Yeah.
Probably Yamal.
Yamal's
on
so
fire,
good.
yeah. I mean, by the time he's 19, he's going to be dead, but...
The way they spent it. The
way that they have used their youth is actually like child abuse.
Yeah, I said in my TikTok that he should start for Spain, and the comments were like, don't send them all. Don't send them all to... don't send them all. Don't send them all. It was funny. Chiesa or Pulisic?
Pulisic.
Rafinha or Pulisic?
Pulisic.
Diaby or Pulisic?
Pulisic.
Barcola or Pulisic?
I like Barcola. I like Barcola for that one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, so you have him in, like, I think the 10 to 12
Just
area.
The way he's playing right. In the last 2 months, I think Pulisic has been as good as almost any winger in the world.
I completely agree.
He's on fire. The key to me with Pulisic...
And he's scoring in so many different ways, which I think is
That's what I was about
really
to
impressive.
say. It's like, the thing with me for Pulisic is, like, he's always been excellent on the ball.
Yeah.
He's always been able to be a great 1v1 option. He's very creative. But he really never reached that $60 million value that they paid for him because he wasn't scoring.
Yeah.
And now he's kind of scoring in every which way, including he's scoring bad goals, which to me is like...
It's huge.
That's massive. Like, those are the goals that we don't score with the U.S., and, like, those are the goals that we need. We need guys who are just in the right place at the right time. They're getting the ball on net, and it goes in sometimes. And like,
when I say killers and deadly finishers, half of that is exactly what I mean.
100% agree.
Ugly goals, that is not an accident.
No.
Poachers score the ugly goals, and it's so
agree.
important.
And him and Leao have been excellent together.
Yeah. So
Leao's on fire.
So would you rather Leao or Pulisic?
Leao.
Okay.
Rafael Leao is probably like my favorite player in the world. Really? That isn't on Arsenal.
All right,
I want him at Arsenal.
Yeah. So Salah, Saka, Vinny, Sané, Kavicha, Bailey, Gordon are the only true wingers who have more goal involvements than Pulisic.
He must have not. How many? He only has 15 goal involvements all year.
Yeah.
Anthony Gordon has more than that. That's
so does Leon Bailey.
Bailey, I get because like that first half of the year he was just feeding on Watkins.
Yeah, but I think like the fact that I don't want to get ahead of myself. He's a top 50 player in the world.
Pulisic?
Yeah.
Right now, he's a top 50 player in the world. Yes, I don't think that's getting ahead of yourself.
That's extremely exciting.
He's on fire. Scored in 4 matches in a row. He's got Milan playing excellent football in Europe. I mean, Macy Milan are kind of back, and he's a part of it. It's fun.
It's very fun. And to all the places he was rumored to going, the way it ended up as perfect as it did has been amazing. So what are you looking to see from these matches? Anything in particular? Yeah.
I'm looking to see what Berhalter's putting out there. I think a lot of people were like, confused as to what we were talking about, like Dest possibly left wing. Like the issue the United States have, and I think it's been an issue for decades, is a lot of the time their best players play in the same position.
Right.
And it's figuring out how to get them all on the pitch in a way that's actually going to work together, right? Like we've seen it where they kind of just throw them all out there and like there's absolutely no congruency. And then sometimes when you don't put out your best players, but you're able to actually find a formation that works, the U.S. can play better. I'm interested to see what Berhalter's going to do. I mean, like, to me, Tim Ream's not playing. I don't care. He needs to be in the side. Like, he's this guy who can settle in and help this 11 find some congruency. Pulisic obviously needs to be in the side. But can he get Anthony Robinson and Dest into the same side in a way that they can work? They need to be. I agree. The two of them are probably playing better than almost any other Americans in the world. Obviously, Weston McKennie needs to start. There's a lot of good players right now for the U.S. who have a lot of confidence. This is Berhalter's kind of like chance to get them all ready for the Copa America. Obviously, we're playing a couple of friendlies, I think, in June against other Copa America teams before it starts.
Which I think is interesting.
Bizarre.
Right?
Bizarre.
Why don't you find someone
else
else
to play? Why are we playing
play?
Brazil the week before the Copa America?
That makes no sense to me.
But yeah, it's a real chance to have competitive matches that mean something. To win the Nations League again would be huge. And I'm excited to watch and react.
Outside of the Tillman hate, a lot of the comments we got were that they did not like that you left out Yunus Musa of your midfield.
He just hasn't been playing enough for me.
Yunus Musa, he gets 20 to 30 minutes every match.
Obviously is my favorite American. He's a Hale Ender. Like, I literally love Yunus Musa. So it was just a matter of who's been playing. Like, to me, that's also huge. Is like, if Berhalter is going to reward the Americans who have gone abroad and are playing week in and week out, that you're trying to build a culture here where the Americans can grow in Europe and find the right destinations, right? Like, to me, Johnny Cardoso going to Betis and being great at Betis and playing week in and week out is better than him going to Dortmund and playing 10 minutes every week.
I agree.
Like that, to me, you should reward Johnny Cardoso. Not that Yunus Musa did anything wrong, and I think Musa will be in the 11 because he's so versatile. But right now, the guys who are playing week in and week out in Europe should play for the United States men's national team.
Tyler Adams included in the team and got 30 minutes for Bournemouth. So he's finally back on the pitch, and the cameo, it was just a quick Twitter highlight, but he looked calm and he looked good and he looked relatively fit. So that's extremely exciting. Is there any part of you, regardless of how well Dest plays, that there shouldn't be some sort of punishment for his actions and what he did last time?
I mean, I don't know. I just hate Berhalter so much.
That was really bad, though. Yeah. That was extremely immature. And, like...
Is he suspended for a game?
I don't know. There's so many things in between. But, yeah, I don't know. I just think, like, when you talk about culture, like... You don't think Dest starts?
Unless he's going to play him right back. But like,
no, I know. Anthony has to start.
Yeah.
The cross he had to Muniz was one of the best crosses
he's also gotten a lot better defensively this year, which has been, like, we always knew that Anthony could get forward as well as anybody. Course, yeah. Like, I mean, that wasn't new, but as you said, he pocketed Kulusevski. He's been excellent defensively.
We're literally in the transfer market because of Anthony Robinson.
No, yeah. I'm excited to watch.
So you would play Dest right back, though? That's the only reason I think if we're gonna have Dest and Anthony as our wingbacks, that's why I think you absolutely have to play Tyler Adams, someone who is extremely disciplined and will sit there and do exactly what.
Well, like who's your center back pairing? Because we got a lot of shit for talking about Miles Robinson, even though we both agree he's not great. But
Miles Robinson, we got shit for it, and I was looking at the replies after we released the roster. Oh my god,
he's terrible. But like, there aren't others.
Is he that bad,
bro? People are.
I don't watch the MLS, but like, when
I don't want to hear about Cameron Carter-Vickers. He's not good either. He's so fucking slow. He's slow. Small.
I mean, he's an ex-Tottenham player.
You can't play him and Ream together. You'll get destroyed.
Correct. I think Chris Richards.
It should be Richards and Ream.
I agree, because then you have the vet presence who can, and then he's an athlete. He's really good on the ball. He's played all over the place for Palace. He's played in the midfield, which I think is huge when we're a team trying to dominate possession, play out of the back, 100%. And do things like that. So, and
he's also athletic, and he has some right back experience. And so when we have a guy like Dest who's getting forward, he can guard 1v1s out wide. He's not going to get torched.
I don't get why we got so much Tillman hate. I agree with you. I think
people aren't watching fucking PSV. Clearly, no, Tillman's been incredible.
I think what it is that people, like, we finally have like name brand players, and it's like, you want Musa to start, and people were still asking for Reyna to start.
Yeah, everyone's like fucking
Reyna hasn't played. Like, I get it.
I've played more soccer recently than Gio Reyna.
Casual soccer fans who are just getting into it and know like our big brand name players, like, it's exciting to have those types of guys who you know their name right away and they've been a stalwart in Europe. Like, Tillman deserves to. I think if we're playing a Brazil or an Argentina, you play Musa, McKennie, and Adams so. Because McKennie can get forward.
Yeah, he's been great getting forward this year.
But if we're playing a lower team, I think you play a Tillman and a McKennie.
That
way you have 2 runners in the box every single time.
I feel like for years it's been like, oh, he's not playing enough attackers, whatever. And now that we want to play more attackers, it's like, well, you're not playing Musa? Like,
Gio Reyna shouldn't touch the starting lineup. I think this is actually a great opportunity to where he got included into the squad, which whether you think that's the right decision or wrong decision, I think it's the right decision to include him. And I think this is a perfect opportunity. Things are going awful for him at the club. Things have been awful for him of recent in the past with the U.S. I think it's a perfect opportunity for him to show that he's matured. He's willing to put in the work in training, come on as a sub, put in a shift, and then set yourself up to, even if you're not backed by Copa America, get in the right mindset with the fans, with the coaches, with yourself.
The goal is to be a crucial part for 2026.
For the World Cup, exactly. I think it's a great opportunity for him to do that, and I'm glad we included him. The whole squad looks amazing, and I'm extremely excited.
This can be a fun week, like, to get to watch. I mean, there's not really much else international this
I'm
break that I
so excited to watch, and the Copa America finals in New York, depending on prices, I want to be there watching the U.S.
I'm going to the semi already, so I'm fucking pumped. Yeah,
it's going to be sick. We have 2 tournaments in the U.S. The U.S. players are crushing in Europe. We've talked about this for so long, and I think it's important to appreciate it and grasp it 100%. And enjoy it while we have it, because we have been in the dumps with U.S. Soccer Federation for so long for countless amount of reasons. And
I got one more thing for you on the U.S. because it just came to me. Have you seen the video of Speeds?
I saw the quote tweet that if
we put money, I have been saying this for years.
I think everyone agrees. If this was our major sport, we'd be a top 5 team.
That's why the Brits hate how much that we're into soccer, because they know that
if this was the main sport,
we would dominate the world. We have the best athletes in the world.
I really don't think it's actually so funny, because I saw that exact tweet. Speed did the overhead kick, and then did you see Lamar Jackson's tweets?
No.
He was like, damn, in another life, I really could have been Lionel Messi or
Dude, Odell Beckham Jr. was a U.S. men's national team youth player until he was 13, because he was so fucking good. And then he had to choose, do I go the lucrative career being one of the best wide receivers the NFL's ever seen, or do I go and try and play for the U.S. and maybe go play in Germany? And, like, obviously that's a decision he's going to make with the culture here. But in 20 years, is that same kid going to make that same decision? Hopefully not.
I think the one thing we're missing is we need true academies where it's half school, half soccer.
Dallas right now, is like one of the few really good academies.
These
New
kids
York has a pretty good one too.
These kids, like, I love the behind the scenes, and I watch the interviews of all these English, especially I think the England social team does a really good job, and they quit. Like, Jack Grealish didn't know where his home country was on the map. All he cares about is playing fucking soccer, and I love that.
I don't know.
Be a soccer player.
Yeah.
No, I don't want our soccer players to be idiots, but, like, half soccer, half school. Like, you gotta, you can't, with the technique that you need.
That's how it is with basketball and football in this country.
We'll always have the athletes. You need the technique on the ball and the experience of playing the correct way to compete at the top level. And you can only do that if these kids are 6 years old playing for hundreds of hours a week.
Agreed.
But relish it. U.S. soccer is growing and will continue to grow. We're going to continue growing with it, which is also exciting. I think that was a longer episode, but it was good.
It was great.
All right, we'll see you next time. Like, comment, subscribe. We should probably do that earlier, because if you've gotten this far, we really, really appreciate it.
If you've gotten this far and you haven't subscribed, that's an L. Right. So hit the subscribe
button. That's weird behavior from you, actually. But we'll see you for our next episode, which I'm very excited, is talking about the top transfer targets going into this summer and next season. So we'll see you for that next time. Peace.